Other video. On today's video, I'm going to be breaking down some of the tips and some of the lists that I use in my business in Propstream. So if you guys don't know what Propstream is, it is a platform service that helps you pull public information, and it saves you time and money, because if you were to go to the courthouse, it's going to take you a while, and if you're going to go buy the leads, get an attorney to do that all for you, it's going to take longer, it's going to cost more. So right now, what I'm going to teach you guys is some tips and some tricks. So let me take you into some of the tips that I learned when pulling lists. As you can see, I have searched up a market, New Loop, New Jersey, Jersey City, New Jersey. And I put some filters together, just some general stuff. And once I go into here, I can filter out. There's going to be a button right over here to filter out. It's not there right now, but let's pretend we click that. Right here, this filter button. You guys can see I'm zooming all the way in. You can click on that and it's going to help you filter out. So sometimes you want to get maybe not this many leads. You want to maybe start from the back list instead of the beginning. You might want to do maybe 200, or maybe you just want to pull a certain amount. This will help you edit that, and it's very, very useful, especially if you're using it with a big list like high equity. This list is 45,000 leads. Now, if I keep skip tracing the first 15,000 in this list, I'm always going to just keep skip tracing the same. So what I do is I start from the back. So I'll click filter, and just to get a little creative, I might go to 30,000. So from 30,000 to 45,000. You can click that, and that way you've only selected 15,000 records. That's another trick I use. Now, another trick that I use aside from this is I like to save my filters. So you see how you have the filter options here. Here's going to tell you all different types of filters, because you want to narrow down your list. The more motivated, the better, or just the more specific, the better. So you have owner occupancy, a lot of different options, and I could go over them all individually, but I'll break that down in just a few seconds. But let's say you put the filters that you like. You put ownership and equity 40%, right? Now you can actually save this search, clicking save, and you'll save these filters, and you can actually put it up here in one of these boxes, and you can also send it to your mail. So it'll email you every single time Propstream has new leads that are for your filter, that match the filter that you have set. So you can literally name this a new safe search, some details, and you can click this so you can actually include in one of these 4 boxes. You can have it remind you never, immediately, daily, or weekly. So every time the new properties become available, it can let you know right away. That way you can be on point and always making sure you got the data that just came in before anyone else starts marketing to it. Now, I'm going to go to another little tip that helped me. Let me go into my properties, right? In my properties, let's close this off. Let's say that you don't want to pull 7 leads. Okay, well, that's not a good example. Let's say all saved, right? Let's just do this one, right? What's the 7? Right over here, you got this weird little thing right here. Hope you guys can see. If you click less than or equals to, it's going to give you a bunch of options to the list. So this list is small right here. It's only got about 7 contacts. But typically my lists are like 15, 20, 30 leads. So I always want to make sure that if I'm only looking to pull maybe a certain amount of budget, maybe I only have a couple thousand, I'm not trying to get a 5,000. I'm not trying to spend $5,000. Maybe I'm trying to spend only $1,000. Then I might pull less leads, and that's where this comes into play. So less than, let's say I want to pull for the day of, let's say 10,000 leads. That's kind of what I was hoping not to go over. Click enter, and then it'll literally show you all the leads up to 10,000. Because imagine if this was a 30,000 total, like for instance this one right here. right? We will go to the addresses here, less than, and you can literally right here click less than, greater than, in range, equals to, all that good stuff. Now another one that has helped me is you go all the way to the end over here, all the way, and marketed lists. Typically if it says 1, that means it's a fresh list. You have probably never pulled it, because I don't think there's a 0, that's for sure. Let's check. Yeah, there's no 0. So 1 means you've never pulled this list, you've never exported it and skip traced it. And if it's anything above 1, like sometimes I have some that are even up to 8. It's crazy. Up to 8 right here. That means I pulled this list. I skip traced it probably, which Batch doesn't charge me. So make sure you check the link below if you're looking to get the phone numbers. But yeah, this is 8 times that I've used this list. So I want to make sure I'm not marketing to this list. So I'll just click 1. So it only shows me the ones that I've never marketed and I never exported before. Cool. So now, as promised, guys, I am going to show you guys some of my favorite filters that I use. Let me try to zoom out. I have a trackpad here and sometimes it's not the best at reading it. Okay, cool. So let's go up here. Let's go into filters. And let's start with my favorite, which has to be high equity. I really do like high equity because it even sometimes gives you leads that have problems just because they're already in the high equity. So you get to pull everybody in the high equity, in my opinion. Obviously, it's still good to use some filters to make sure you get that extra juice. But high equity, just everyone, it brings a lot of individuals that might even have a deeper problem. So this is if you have a big budget, because this list is typically very big. So high equity, individual, 40% or more. Ownership, for me, I've only had experience with individual, but I know you can do all of these. I know someone that's done, like, you can do the trust and all that, but I personally only do individual. Lien status, this is what I'm talking about. When you want to make it more juicy, you can add liens, but just for this list, I'm not going to do it. So at least 40% equity. Property characteristics, you want it to be a single family. Haven't really dealt with condos or multifamily, so I'm not really targeting that as of right now. Just saves me time. Exclude associations, HOAs, because I hate dealing with those. Ownership info, so you want to make sure that you're putting in ownership information. Let me click here. I want them to have owned the property for at least 12 years. The reason I'm putting this is because if it's 10 years or less, typically they just got the house, they don't really want to sell it. But you never know. That's not to say people that have had houses for 6 years won't sell. But I'm just trying to make it, kind of what I use. 12 years is kind of usually the juicy spot. So cool. We have a valid list right here. Yeah. A city, state, and a high equity. This is a pretty good one. Let me see if I'm missing anything. Oh, MLS status. No. So I'm going to put no. So I don't want it to be on market. And ownership 12. Okay, cool. So that's cool. Now, another little tip that you can use, but this is only going to work if you really understand your market. So you need to know at what price point does a deal not make sense anymore. So in some places, if a house is like worth $50,000, it's probably not going to be worth as a flip in the area. Or if a property is worth $100,000, it might not be worth as a flip in the area. So I like to do in my market. It just depends on your market, really. If you don't know the average sale price, and then it's just don't use it. But for me, I'll go into owner information, and where is it? It is. I always forget where it's at, and it's always bothering me. Come on, I literally just had it before. Lien, minimum equity information, loan, estimated value. There we go. This is the one, valuation and equity information. So I know in my market that properties that are value of $50,000 and less than $50,000, they're usually not worth it. I don't want to be marketing to low end areas, kind of like the ghetto people that flippers are not really interested in getting into. So for my market, it would be If it's $50,000 and more, I might be able to push it to an investor. If it's $50,000 and less, I'm really not going to be able to do much with it because it's in a really sus location. Now, the highest I'd go, you can really leave it open because you can wholesale anything at any price point that's high. Like you can, even if it's at $1 million, you can still wholesale it for the right price. So, but just for the video's sake, I'd say probably about 400,000, just because most houses in my area are not selling for over that price point. And like, boom, you got a very good list right here. Yeah. Oh, the only reason it's showing 510 right here is because this is New Jersey. This is not my market, so that's why. In the area, it's probably more for the average property. So let's just take that one out for this one. But yeah, 9,000. You can go ahead, export it, and remember to use the filter trick that I taught you, so you can export the first 5,000 and the other 5,000. Now, another list that I use aside from this high equity list is going to have to be people that own more than one property. So this high equity, now you're going to go into the ownership information and people that own at least another property, maybe 2 or 3, 4, but at least more than one. Because these people, most of the time that I've seen is when they sell the house, they have another one that they're already going to move into and they just want to get rid of this one. So it's nice for them to have other properties. Also, they might be a landlord in that case. So it's always good to add that. I would go ahead and pull this list as well. Click it, add to list, create a name. And another filter I would use aside from this high equity, we can do liens. I really love liens, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. Liens is a really, really good list to be pulling. Kind of the same filters, except you'll take this out. And you'll go into the lien, tax lien, HOA lien, mechanical, utility, solar, child, and other. You'll click all those. You can remove the number of owned properties. Individuals for this one, I'd say 10 years, maybe even 9 years. You never know. Some people have it down bad. But yeah, this will be a great list to target because they have a lot of motivation. I know you can even search the lien amount as here, lien amount, which is insane. So, if they have a lien amount over $25,000, they might be on the edge to sell. I'm telling y'all right now, this will be a good list. If you seen this, you pull this, you send them messages, I think you could get someone, So yeah, take a picture, do what you got to do. But now I'm going to teach you another list that I use. So let's get rid of the liens, single family, and you can either do it's fully owner occupied or you could just do vacant list. Let's do no, not owner occupied, it's vacant. Let's just do any like that. Vacant list is very nice. If property's vacant, chances are they might want to sell it because there's no one living. Now keep in mind, Propstream is a little outdated, so sometimes it'll say it's vacant, but when you call them, it's not vacant. So just keep that in mind. It's not always accurate, but you still want to give them a call. I mean, it was probably once vacant. You never know. Now, aside from, we just pulled liens, high equity, vacant. What is another one that I use? Let's close this. As you can see, vacant, high equity, cash bars, occupied, owner occupied. Oh, owner occupied. So yes, it's owner occupied. There we go. Because if the property is rented, you can still sell it to a flipper if it's rented. But the problem is, some flippers are just not going to want it if the rent's too high or too low, or the lease is going to be too long for them to, to hold on to. So sometimes they're not going to like it. Sorry, I was about to curse, but no, sometimes they're not going to like it. I'm from New York, so, sometimes it slips a little, but they not might like those properties. So if you click owner occupied, most of the time the owner is going to leave at the end of closing, at the end of the 30 days. And when they do end up leaving, then the property will be vacant. So these are really good and easy lists to target. Like I said, again, take the lien out. This would be owner occupied, yes, occupied, single family, no associations or COAs, nothing like that, not on market, 9 years of ownership, type individual, and 40% at least of equity. Okay, you can go ahead and pull that. And yeah, guys, those are the lists that I've been using. I usually like to pull very big lists, probably cost around maybe 2,000, 1,800 if you're pulling a really big list. But yeah, it's worth it because on average, let me tell you guys, if I waste about $2,000 on a list, I'm expecting around at least a $50,000 return, at least, guys. So, you know, to be realistic, it could be anywhere from $35,000 to $50,000 that you make back. To be realistic, guys, let me just be honest. But remember, you do make 10x. Like, who wouldn't want to spend $2,000 to make $35,000 to $40,000? But I know for sure, like, it's gonna 10x your results. So I wish you guys the best, and I hope this video helped you guys out. Stay tuned for another video because I am gonna be breaking down some crazy stuff that I have been noticing with REI Reply. And make sure to check the links below. I have a lot of discounts and a lot of platforms that I personally use that I recommend. So peace out.